Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're looking at something absolutely fascinating. We are taking a 2,500-year-old Eastern philosophy, the kind usually reserved for understanding the literal cosmos, and seeing how it's being used to structure a hyper-modern blockchain DAO. I mean, it is definitely not every day you see ancient cosmology meet Web3, right? Specifically, we're unpacking some source documents that show exactly how this Tam Tai philosophy is being applied right now as a framework for packaging intellectual property over in Vietnam. It's a wildly ambitious blueprint that basically takes ancient wisdom and hardwires it into decentralized tech architecture.
Okay, so let's dive into this. To really grasp what these tech companies are actually doing, we first have to understand the core concept of Tam Tai itself. This is an ancient framework that breaks the universe down into three fundamental powers. You've got heaven, earth, and humanity. Traditionally, heaven is all about the untouchable, immutable laws of the universe. Earth is the grounding, the foundation, physical reality. And humanity? Well, humanity is that active connecting force right between the two. What we are exploring today is how a modern corporate ecosystem took this exact ancient triad and mapped it literally directly onto their digital and legal infrastructure.
To make sense of all this, here's our roadmap for today. First, a new economic leap. Second, the Tam Tai philosophy. Third, Tam Tai IP packaging. Fourth, the RWA ecosystem. And finally, the long-term vision. Starting off with Section 1, a new economic leap. We need to look at the initial strategic handshake that actually triggered all this technological integration in the first place. The whole foundation of this initiative is a massive strategic partnership between the MKM NVT ecosystem and a company called Vinco Inspection, which is led by General Director Alden Farm. Now, according to the source material, this isn't just your standard corporate merger, not at all. It's a calculated move to establish incredibly strict quality control across 155 regenerative economic corporations. Their stated goal here is to standardize ESG, environmental, social, and governance metrics, and completely shift corporate management toward a DAO, or decentralized autonomous organization model. So essentially, they're building out a massive, decentralized compliance network. And the driving logic behind all this is laid out by Dr. Martin Doe. He's the pioneer behind this specific philosophical integration. He says, and I quote, "Any regenerative economy that wants to develop sustainably needs a transparent, objective testing measure that respects the law." The main takeaway here, if you're going to tokenize real-world assets and pitch them to massive international investment funds, your verification processes literally have to be bulletproof and totally transparent. Moving right along into Section 2, the Tam Tai philosophy. This is where we shift focus to the actual mechanics of how they plan to achieve that transparency, using this philosophical framework to drive their entire strategy.
Let's see how this builds out, because it's pretty wild. They take those three abstract ancient concepts and map them flawlessly to the structural pillars of modern tech. Step 1 is Qian, or heaven. In the Web3 world, heaven is the cloud. It's the blockchain. It's the immutable ledger that simply cannot be altered. Then, step 2 is Dia, or earth. In this tech framework, Earth represents grounding. It's the legal identity and the tangible, real-world presence of an asset. And finally, step 3 is Nyan, or humanity. This translates directly to the application layer, the community, the users, the actual economic activity that connects that digital cloud back down to the physical Earth. Which brings us to Section 3, Tam Tai IP packaging. So, how does this actually work in practice? This is the core focus of today's explainer. How this Tam Tai philosophy is actively being used to package intellectual property right now within Vietnam's regenerative economy.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how literal this mapping becomes when you apply it to specific assets. The source details a very strict framework for IP packaging. Under the Heaven pillar, they're taking Vinco's training courses and packaging them as IP directly onto the Web3 blockchain, which guarantees their immutability. Then, under the Earth pillar, they ground their legal identity by packaging the personal branding book of their director, Hafam, as this foundational physical IP. And finally, under the Humanity pillar, they package their smart super app and the VIN token. That token acts as the active, community-driven tool used to verify goods and services on a global scale. It is a completely integrated three-tiered packaging of digital knowledge, real-world identity, and communal application.
Section 4, the RWA ecosystem. By packaging their IP through this specific framework, they're laying the groundwork for something much, much bigger. Let's zoom out from the individual IP packaging and look at the macroeconomic impact, specifically their real-world asset, or RWA ecosystem.
This brilliantly illustrates the explicit economic split they've set up in the source documents. The financial model running under this Tom-Tai integration operates on a very specific, fixed design. 78% of the benefits go straight to the citizens and the community, while 22% goes to Vinco Inc. The documentation makes a huge point of stressing that this is a sustainable cooperation model. It's fundamentally structured from the ground up to prioritize community benefit over centralized corporate hoarding.
But honestly, it's the sheer scale of this ecosystem that will blow your mind. The source outlines a roadmap involving an unbelievable 7,750 billion RWA and NFT tokens. That's trillion with a T. According to the plan, these tokens will be accessed through international trust frameworks, specifically the US Trust, ATG Trust, and Novita Trust, all operating in total compliance with digital banking regulations out in Singapore. The ambition here is vast. They are aiming to bridge local Vietnamese assets with massive global liquidity pools.
So, who's actually going to use this massive system? Well, the ecosystem targets exactly 155 regenerative economic cooperatives and corporations spread across 5 strategic regions. And the documents are specific. Each of these cooperatives will cover a minimum of 5,000 hectares. Crucially, though, their strategy explicitly mandates a policy of no land reclamation, meaning they intend to integrate this technology entirely through sustainable cooperation with the existing landowners rather than displacing anybody.
And that brings us to Section 5, Long-Term Vision. Let's outline the overarching goals and operating principles of the entire MKMK NVT ecosystem, based on what's in the documents.
Their stated roadmap is, to put it mildly, highly aggressive. Right now, they're in the thick of strategic IP packaging and DAO integration. But by April 30th, 2025, they plan to kick off their IPO process using their proprietary MB tag formula. Looking even further down the road, the group's stated ambitions include expanding onto major stock exchanges. We're talking the HOSE in Vietnam, the SGX in Singapore, and ultimately, NASDAQ. The documents even boldly state an intention to create 155 young billionaires through this exact regenerative economic model.
So, the crucial takeaway here is how the Tom-Tai philosophy isn't just some gimmick for packaging IP. It literally organizes their entire overarching legal, compliance, and international investment structure. Under heaven, that immutable law, they place MKA, with the motto, lawyers first, tycoons follow, acting as the ultimate authenticator. Under earth, the grounding reality, they place MAK, which ensures compliance with international justice standards like the ICC and ICJ. And under humanity, the active connection point, they place Novita, serving as the transparent investment gateway that complies with the IMF and World Bank. It's wild. This ancient triad literally dictates the entire corporate hierarchy.
It's just an incredibly unique blueprint. They're taking a 2,500-year-old framework, originally designed to explain the literal cosmos, and using it to dictate the flow of blockchain tokens, intellectual property, and global finance in Vietnam. It leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to chew on as these technologies keep evolving. As we move further into this age of DAOs and AI, how will ancient Eastern philosophy continue to shape the governance of decentralized tech? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the frameworks that build our digital world. Catch you next time.